Hello and welcome to Series 2, Episode 5 of Five Cities, the Garblag Games Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition role-playing show. Hi, I'm Pete, the DM.
I'm Jim, I'm playing Comic.
I'm John, I'm playing Zach.
I'm Roger, I'm playing Aurelian.
Sam, Lena.
Pooh.
Hey!
Hey!
He's back.
And his northern came out, so he just said poo instead of poot.
Oh, Pooh.
I heard the T. I
Roll
heard
down
the
You
to
always
Go down to poop.
Last time on Five Cities, our heroes have returned to Onsmouth and had done a bit of shopping. Cormac went to see the aeromancers at the train station to talk to them potentially about magic and his growing magic that he has himself. Aurelian and Poot went to see Thorgren Highbeard, the Grand High Priest of Usain, and received some relics in exchange for the Shard of War, which they handed over to the Radiant Cascade, which is the cathedral at the centre of the city, for safekeeping. Following on from that, Saint did a bit of shopping for alchemical supplies, and Lena arranged for some horses to be sent to her dad, who's been standing around in a field waiting for some horses. Standing around the woods waiting for some horses for about 2 weeks.
I think actually he's been up a tree because the results are risen.
Yes, probably.
No, everything's fine.
Poot also organised for some first level adventurers to head over to Greenrise, which is on the way to Lena's dad, to keep an eye on that area because there's some weird things going on there, as we know from season 1, which if you haven't seen, you can go check out on the playlist on our channel now.
Can I advise the horse delivery people to not go that way?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Oh, hang on, we'll go via Greenrise.
No.
Okay, and we left it with the party having got on board the Aeromancer carriage, and they were heading towards Highstar on the Golem Road. If you want to check out a map, you can check it out on our website, which you can see on the screen. Sam's holding one up. Oh, that's not bad. North Strike, South Strike, and a big line in the middle. There you go, that's the Golem Road. Cool. Yes, hashtag helping. Okay, so we left you with Tarn Brudbern in the carriage. It's late, you're heading into the night, and as we resume, you are nearing Highstar. You've been travelling for about 5.5 hours. You've passed Fullridge, you've passed Junction, and you are now heading towards Highstar. As it's an important mission, you are kind of just heading straight there.
Can I nap in that time?
You can nap in that time. You can have a doze. You'd had a day's rest though, so you're all full on hit points, spells, abilities, etc. And Tarn is keeping a watch on the carriage. You can hear in the carriages behind you the detachment of soldiers. There's 50 soldiers of different skills. There's some rowdy activity going on with card playing and dice throwing and that kind of stuff. The Aeromancer is up the front. Sarah, who Cormac introduced himself to last time, and you have had a bit of a slowdown every now and then of the carriage. It hasn't been as full, constant, smooth ride as you've had previously. As you know, Cormac has advised Sarah not to tap into the ley line that runs along Golem Road because you had previously seen that it was corrupted with a black thread through it. Yeah. So,
And the last thing we want is the corrupted air mage.
Yes.
Can I just go make sure that she's alright? Just go, hello, how's it going?
Yeah, I mean, you pop up there every now and then and she's fine, she's just focused, she's tired.
Yeah.
I will give you one of my little blue orbs.
Ooh.
The vial one.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. First up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we'll wait until she's come out of her zen and hand it over.
Yeah.
One of the guards nearby says, I can take that and hand it to you if you want.
No, I'll give it to her.
Okay. So you are on if you remember, the Golem Road past Junction is on a raised embankment, as it were, with various rails next to each other. So there's 4 massive rail lines next to each other, and you are heading towards Highstar. And you can see now in the distance this city. Highstar is fairly big. Somewhere between a town and a city is a walled area with a stone wall rather than a palisade. You've been informed by Tarn, and you know that there's a lot of trade that goes on here with the people out in the strike come to this area to bring lots of different trade. So there's lots to do with fur and materials, and they're also scouting from this location for other surface mines in the area that they could possibly start up. But with the known quantities at Iron End, where you've previously been, and at Leron's Pit, this area hasn't really been focused on for mining yet, but Tarn said that there's more activity going on. There's a fairly big population in Highstar, and it's kind of a staging area for a lot of the nobles before they get to Leron's Pit. They don't all reside in Leron's Pit. It's a big bloody mine. They sort of sit here, so you know there's a big Great Spear household here. There's some Brudberns, and there are 1 or 2 Highbeards, because he has a household beneath him, but he is no longer part of it. And you also know that there is an Oldson household that resides there, which is a very old household that's prominent in Onsmouth as well. So Tarn's kind of filled you in on a little bit of information as you're coming towards the walls of the city, and you can see there's a large, huge set of doors which are ready to be opened for aeromancer carriages to come through, and you know that the tracks go straight through the centre of the city and out the other side. Tarn seems to be just sort of preparing himself and says, I'm going to go and check on the men, make sure they're all in order, no one's got themselves and any silly hijinks or, you know.
Can I suggest, whilst we're here, practicing some kind of how your men will disperse when you get off the train at the other end, just in case everything's gone?
Oh, like an active disembarking.
I mean, basically, if we get there and the place is totaled, then, you know, you could easily come out and just be in a fight before you even know it. If they're not prepared,
yes,
it may well be worth discussing, and it might keep them occupied, their minds occupied, whilst we're here.
Very well. I will suggest I will get the guys moving when we arrive in some kind of combat ready status. I don't want to spook anyone in the town though.
I'm just suggesting.
But we'll try and do it as quickly as possible. Just for that, that's a good idea. And he heads off back through the carriages. Cormac, make a wisdom saving throw.
A wisdom saving throw. Is it magic?
It is magic.
Well, that was one of them. What's the other one? Oh, I'll take that one.
Yes.
20.
Okay. As you're standing there and you're watching Sarah do her magic and fill the sails with air, you feel something ripple towards you through the air, hit you, but you steel yourself for it. You're starting to get used to this strange sensation of magic. You kind of steel yourself against it and it washes over you. Aurelian, make a wisdom saving throw.
15.
Okay. You feel this same wave of something, sort of like a static electricity crackling along the line. Saying to make a wisdom saving throw.
9.
Okay.
Oh wait, I get proficiency. 12.
Okay, right. You feel the same sensation. You can tell that it's a form of corruption. Some distant source of corruption. And it kind of washes over the carriages. Sarah bolts upright and she sort of stumbles backwards on her. She's sitting on her on the deck, and she kind of stumbles backwards a bit, scrabbling around, and she turns around to look at you. What was that?
I just like, I think that was the ley line. Just like, how far away are these guys?
Oh, we're in the carriage.
They're in the carriage behind the front section.
I'll shout for these two, the anti-corruption gang.
Yeah.
Did you just feel that?
Yes. Just
Do
like,
you know what that was? Corruption?
You all feel a tremble of the ground.
All.
All.
Felt that.
So have we just
There's a
entered
rumble.
the city? Or?
The carriage has stopped now because Sarah has been distracted and the sails hang limp. It's slowing down.
yeah.
There's quite a lot of friction
Mhm.
on the track, obviously, so it starts to slow down. You're still 10 minutes from the gate of Highstar. You can see lights in the city. You can see there's a couple of sort of tall buildings poking up above the wall.
What were you just saying?
Captain, ready your man.
How would I tell if Sarah is corrupted? Is there a way that I would know?
You don't know.
Okay, I would.
You know someone who might know.
Yeah, that's
Could
why I'm
ask her
shouting for
if
these
she
two.
feels
Aurelian!
Could ask her if she feels alright.
Just like, well, what do you think she would say?
She's reeling, like,
Yeah.
what was that?
Yeah.
We should go investigate.
There's another shaking of the ground. Sounds like thunder really far away, but the ground is shaking.
Okay, is there a red light up ahead?
Okay, you're going to go out.
I'm gonna-
Okay, so you all come out onto the deck
I
of the front carriage.
I give Sarah the orb.
Okay. She holds it. She doesn't seem to take it yet, but she holds it and she's like, what? I've never felt something like that before.
She said, "Take that now."
She shouldn't need to take it.
if she is corrupted, my character would assume the worst, and that if she's been doing like that,
Cormac's been shouting for us. So I'm gonna.
No, yeah, you're all there now. You're all there.
Cormac, what's going on?
something
Excuse me.
happened. Something came off the ley line. It's disturbed Sarah here.
You hear another shake and feel it. This one is huge, and you hear from ahead of you a giant cracking and splitting sound, and a shriek, and the sound of 1,000 people screaming fills the night air around you.
Oh,
And
no, the
above-
lights go back.
Above the wall of Highstar, you see from one corner of the city a giant spike, a jagged rock black. You can't tell what it looks like, it's the middle of the night. Thrusts up through the ground and punches through several buildings, what looks like a noble household because of the size of it. And you see rubble and splintering wood scatter into the sky in a small cloud, and you hear a scream and a shout from a distance, and the guards around you stand aghast and look ahead. Everyone is stunned on the deck.
Divine sense.
There
Is that evil?
is a great sense of corruption coming from the town ahead,
Nice.
and you sense that Sarah has some mild corruption upon
I
her.
was still gonna make her drink that thing. Like,
She says,
I
"Are you
mean,
sure? Shouldn't I save this for?"
It
And
just, well,
I'll-
unless Saint says something from
Okay.
Saint's
I will
knowledge.
walk over and I will, because I can do protection from corruption.
But that only protects against it happening again. It's not a clearing it out.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't know
but,
who she is.
Sure.
but you
Yeah,
have to make more saving throws against becoming corrupt.
Yes. Yeah, you do. You do.
Benefit from that.
Okay, so you're going to cast protection from corruption.
I will go over and I will
Give her a pat on
basically.
the head.
We have to concentrate on doing it.
Mhm.
It's not. I don't think it's something you can do whilst you do other things.
No. You actively cast the
You
spell,
actively cast a spell.
and it's got
Still gonna
components,
drink it.
verbal and stuff.
Yeah.
And as you do this, it's like a faint coldness in the air, but it's like a clear, crisp coldness to the air.
Like a winter morning.
Indeed. and you see a little puff of cold air come out of her mouth, but she sort of sits up a bit straighter. And she goes to put the crystal to her mouth to squeeze it to imbibe some of the liquid.
Fair enough. Didn't even have to do anything.
So if we're 10 minutes away on the carriage, how far away is that on foot?
Well, it's an hour.
Well, we
or
need to get the carriage there because otherwise the carriage can't come back with people. Unless the carriage is there, it ain't coming back.
Got a point. Sarah, do you think we can get it moving again?
I can get it moving again, but
My protection
is
will
anyone
last for
gonna?
10 minutes.
Thank you.
So
Is
we
anyone
will
going to
get you
open
there.
the gate?
So we just need to get there.
We will open
We'll
the
stop before the gate.
We will open the gate.
Very well. She sits back down and starts to do her chanting and everything. And blue eldritch symbols appear in the air above her, and then air starts to fill the sails again.
And saying
I'll
goes,
ask
You
oh,
can
her.
hear screams and shouts and the general calamity and noise of panic and horror coming from Highstar ahead of you.
I'll ask her, is it possible for you to slow down just before you get to the gates and then speed up again? I'm going to climb up where the sails are and dangle just near the top of the sail so that when you fill the sail again, I'll be catapulted over the wall and into the city. And from there, I'll open
You're
the gate.
full. They're 100 feet high. You're full.
They're massive.
I am quite an athletic young man. I'm sure I have to figure something out.
I'm not sure I can. I mean, if you wish to do this, though. And she looks around at the rest of you.
It's like, I'm not doing that.
Well,
Just
why?
shaking my boot.
We can go. Look, we can stop when we get there. And we can find out a way to open the gates. There may still be someone on the gates. Okay.
Yeah.
We should try and signal them. And
Yeah.
she sort of turns to the guards around, who start to light the torches that they normally in the night signal people with from the Aramantic carriage. So she starts to concentrate again on her magic, and the sails open up, and you start to head towards the city again. And you can see this giant spike, this kind of spire, jagged, savage, thrust into the sky of some dark material. It looks like a small mountain, very jagged crag has kind of just poked up through the ground and tore through this town. And you can hear the cries and the screams, and you can now start to see that there are fires spreading in the town. The watchtowers on the walls, as you get closer, you can see now these small watchtower areas. You can see lights on them and people moving about on the battlements and running around. And the guards are frantically signalling with torches, like trying to wave them around, get people's attention. And eventually, you see the doors start to open. Sorry, my throat's pretzel. And the doors open, and you head towards them. And kind of framed inside this kind of slot in the wall, you can see now some fires raging to one side, and there seems to be chaos inside the city walls. And as you get even closer now, you see that the people on the tower, on the towers on the walls, are facing into the city. And some of them seem to be firing their bows and crossbows down into the city itself. And you can hear screams and shouts.
Everybody get ready!
Tarn comes back and goes, "What are we going to do?"
You need to set up a perimeter around the station when we get there. If you need to set fire to buildings, because fire is a good weapon against them, then fire the buildings. Just try and keep a good channel that you can actually get people through, and then just try and get people back
What
onto
is
the
that?
carriage.
What has happened?
Well, we can
What
see
have
up
they
there.
unleashed on the world?
We can see something there. I think we should deal with that because we're level 5. And everybody, your lot should try and evacuate everyone.
Yeah, just
Guard
make
the carriage.
make
Yeah.
a perimeter around the station.
Yeah.
And then try and get people
He
onto
seemed
the
to
train.
be just thrown for a moment by the nature of the situation. He's obviously never come up against something like this before. He's used to battle lines and orderly kind of warfare and things like that, even verger clans and stuff like that. But strange spikes coming up out of the ground. He's
Try
not
and
really-
protect the walls so that they can't get up onto the battlements and
Yes,
stop those
we'll
guys.
do that.
supporting you.
Yes, I know siege tactics, but yes. Right,
And try not to shoot us when we come back.
I will, yes.
Yeah, but Poot's good at shooting. Well, actually, Poot's quite bad at shooting people, so you've got nothing to worry about up there.
Okay.
Where the spikes come up, how far? Because the gates have opened, and you've said that the Golem Road goes right through the middle of town.
Yes.
So the gates have opened,
Yeah.
and we can see the Golem Road and
Yeah.
then fires. Where's the spike place?
It's on the
Is it-
left. So as you're going in, it's on the left. So it's actually on the north
And
side
about
of the
how
track.
far?
And you can see it
Oh, I drew it on that
torn the
side.
ground apart and starts to slope up near the Golem Road.
Right.
The Golem Road hasn't been affected.
Mhm.
It's still there, intact. The ground around it, however, has been turned into kind of rocks and, you know, the cobblestones have been torn apart and all that kind of thing. And the left side of the town now has this huge peak poking up through it, and as you get closer, you can see the buildings are kind of hanging on the side of it on these roads that have been torn to bits. You know, it's kind
Does
of
it overhang the road at all?
no, it goes up and away.
Okay.
So it's up
going
like that to a
Okay.
big, savage, jagged point,
Mhm.
like 500 feet up in the air.
Okay, guys, we know that some soldiers are firing stuff down. I know that an aeromancer I spoke to can summon like a mini portal door to send us like 200 or 300 yards. Rather than disembarking that way, should we see if Sarah could make us a door to get off this train even quicker?
No harm in asking.
All right, let's do that. I'll wait for this to...
Will it work for so many of us?
I don't know, let's find out.
She says to you, I
She's probably a bit tired.
am tired.
We just gave her a blue orb.
My magic is not replenished by a blue orb.
Oh, fair enough.
I'm afraid. I'm sorry to let you down in this time.
All right, but then I think we should just go. I think we should head out.
It will be more important that you recover your strength.
I shall, as people leave, I shall hand her another one.
Oh,
Okay.
And just say, when your carriage is full, you must go. Back.
So
yes.
we're
Yes.
evacuating
Yes.
You must
refugees.
evacuate
Very well.
people.
Very well.
If you feel you're susceptible, then use it. It appears like the range, how close you are to this place, is what's caused you the problem. So, whereas if you get away further, it will probably have less of an effect on you. So as long as you can get a little bit away, then you'll probably be fine to complete your journey. So if you need to use it, then use it.
I will. Thank you. No. Okay. The train carriage passes through the walls of the city into chaos. The left side of the city has been torn asunder, and you can now see by the light of the many fires in the buildings that are kind of bent and twisted around it excuse me, that this savage spike mountain crag that's poking up into the sky is riddled with a honeycomb of passageways and tunnels and dripping with a black liquid, and this dark rock looks like itself is fashioned from the very ooze that you have been seeing in your past conflict.
Which type of these? Because there's two.
The dark ochre stuff.
Yeah.
The
Tarn.
stuff that like was in the sacks.
The stuff that was in the sacks.
Tarn, if anyone has that on, then they mustn't get on. Not until
Right.
they've been seen to.
Seen to.
Either same or someone, if there's someone, that's the
Or
corruption.
seen to.
yeah, whichever's easiest at this point.
remember,
That mustn't get
remember,
back.
it took days for that stuff to corrupt people. But if it's on them, and they get back, and then they become infected,
We
They
can't
must-
have
It
that
mustn't.
corruption.
It
must-
mustn't leave.
they must be quarantined.
Very well. The train, Aeromancer carriage, I should say, stops sort of in
Which
the
way do the
city.
doors open?
They open outwards. Stops well inside the walls.
Right.
With an area of sort of what looks like ruined platform
Mhm.
to the left side of it. A crumpled building and shattered remnants of a station sort of litter around it, and the Aeromancer carriage has to almost crash through some of the debris, but it does it with no concern. Behind you, the gates are still open, and you look up and you can see that the people on the walls are moving off to deal with problems elsewhere.
We can see what they were firing at.
As you look out the left-hand side of the Aeromancer carriage, you can see civilians running, screaming, places on fire. Sloughs of great trails of fluid are pouring out of the holes in the side of this giant crag, sort of flowing down roads and around people's feet and trickling out everywhere, kind of big, gloopy, viscous tears from this savage rock. And you can see people running around with goo down their faces, all over their limbs, running around screaming, but the buildings are on fire. You can't see necessarily any strange creatures right where you are, but you can hear combat beyond and in the ruined, kind of slanted roads of the town now that are sort of perching on the sides of this big, small mini mountain that's come up out of the ground.
What's the most flammable thing in the world setting that
Most
might be
oil?
available? Yeah.
Should we help?
The soldiers leap from the carriage and start to create a secure area. Excuse me.
Have you blessed anyone?
No, let's split up and search for
That
clues.
there, that's like oversight on our part.
Shouldn't we join in the
Doesn't
fight?
help corruption.
Does it not? I
Or
thought it did
save
not
the
give you a
people.
bonus when you're fighting people.
It can do, but it only affects a few people. It won't affect.
I think the people are okay.
Otherwise, I
for
would
now.
just be like,
They're not going to become corrupted straight away.
Oh wow.
But if they're corrupted creatures and fighting,
Oh, yeah.
then maybe we should help.
I will make a very big deal of moving forwards and standing a good 10 paces in front of their cordon, chest out.
Okay.
Anything even vaguely look.
You
nasty.
step out in front of these brave, full Nolosi soldiers, and you, the little gnome, step out in front of them, ready for combat. And a scream tears above everything, and leaping from one of the holes in the side of the ground, between two broken buildings, a creature erupts from the darkness. You can make a roll to shoot it. But as it comes flying out of the darkness, you see that this creature is humanoid. Its head is a twisted
Mutants.
mockery of a dog's head, and its one of its arms has the kind of a large club-like paw with sort of jaggedy-looking claws on it, whereas the rest of his body looks human. There's no clothing, naked, hairy body, dense
Werewolf.
fur all over it, and just comes screaming towards you, running directly towards Poot, and you fire an arrow at it.
initially.
Go.
I will sling a chill touch.
Okay, you're going to cast Chill Touch.
Yeah.
That's not bad, right?
What does the spell say you have to do?
Well, it's just what it's saying.
It's a ranged touch attack.
Range. Yeah, it's just
So
a
you have to
range.
do a dexterity attack.
Yeah.
That's not.
Must be a spell attack bonus, which is based on your
Oh, no,
intelligence.
it's not.
Okay, so I get +3 intelligence.
And your proficiency bonus.
in dexterity,
17.
which is now +5, isn't it? Because it's
Just your proficiency bonus.
It's +3.
+3.
Yeah, so you get +5 in total.
More than 20.
Oh,
You
plus
hit.
2. That's 25, isn't it?
Yeah,
So 15.
you hit. Roll damage.
It's quite a lot on chill touches.
You've got a +1 bow at the moment, so add 1 to the damage, but remember all your other bits.
So. Did you do
Seven.
damage as well?
7.
No.
Yeah, 7.
So 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I shall draw.
Right, roll initiative.
Remember, you get priority.
Sorry, what did you roll?
You get that thing.
Advantage.
1.
Roll
Yeah,
twice.
Yep,
Okay.
it
because
didn't
it's a
really.
hated foe.
Yeah.
So 5,
I hate
but
everything.
1.
Do you
Yeah.
hate mutants?
Huh?
Do you hate mutants?
No?
They're human, or
It's not human.
is it not?
No.
Or is it?
Or is it?
5 total.
5.
I'm trying to think what bonus you get to it. It's just
22.
22, fine.
Dex bonus, isn't it?
Aurelian?
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, it is.
20.
I rolled a 19.
I
Lena?
sucked for everybody
Yeah,
else.
not great because I've just been so.
What did you get?
10.
10.
But there isn't 15, 16. But there isn't a skill. You don't have a skill to it, do you? It's just dexterity.
Dexterity. There's a feat you can get which adds to it.
Yeah.
Which I have.
There you go, that's why you got 19. Speaking of which, Saint, you are going
I'm going to
first.
cast Augury.
Right?
What will happen, DM, if I cast Lay on Hands on the big rock thing? Would you like the spell description?
Yes.
It's how he removes corruption.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get to attack twice now?
Yep.
So do
So
I.
when you make an attack action,
Right.
you get 2 attacks.
Okay, so just shooting that just now doesn't count.
No, that was just like a reaction
Okay.
to him coming out of the thing.
What you got?
Worth remembering though.
Oh, yes, very much so. Where is it? Augury. Okay.
I do better than a 1. Yay.
A 1-0. That's better.
Can I get another
Okay.
1?
So,
Yep.
you grab your holy symbol and pray to Avatar for guidance. And you cast the spell Augury. And you feel that using your healing magic gifted to you by the god of the unknown will have a positive result for you
Cool.
and your friends, and a bad result for whatever it is that is lurking under the ground, but not necessarily decisive. Let's put it that way.
Okay, cool. That is my turn.
There you go.
There you go.
Aurelian.
I'm going to draw the sword
Okay.
and try to hit it.
Okay. Make a roll. It's a +1 sword.
Ooh, +1, so plus 26.
Lots.
Okay, that hits.
26.
26.
Damage do I roll?
It's a D8 and a D6 lightning damage with a +1.
So you had this. What happened?
No, the.
Oh, no, I just borrowed it.
So 9.
I can take it off.
So 9 on the D8
Okay.
and 4 on the D6. And
So
then I
13 plus damage.
Okay.
For some people it will, but for this guy it's just a mutant. You whack him with the sword. The sword doesn't quite cut him as much as you thought it would. It feels like it's sort of halfway between a slash and a bludgeon. But
I'm more used to blood.
there's a spark against the body of the creature, and he reels in pain. And that's his go. He's going to attack you.
Oh, my.
That is a, where are we? 22.
That's equal to my armor class.
That's a hit. And it does 3 points of slashing damage. Make a Constitution saving throw.
16.
Okay. Right. Hoot.
So I'm going to use my rapier in one hand.
Yep.
And my dagger in the other hand.
Okay.
So I don't have it, so I don't get the proficiency bonus for the other hand.
Yeah, you don't get your strength bonus to your damage.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But I still get it for that. And because there's another opponent within 5 feet, I can backstab with both my attacks.
Sneak attack.
Yeah.
Not backstab, but yeah, that's the old
So
rapier.
So my rapier is 18 plus 5, 23.
That's a hit.
And my other one, I don't get the proficiency, I only get a dex bonus, is 15.
That's a hit.
Okay. So the rapier, can I have, the rapier is 1.
D8
No, D8 46.
Oh yeah, because you've got your sneak attack.
So there's a D8 46. So I do 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 23 points of damage. And then I'll do
That's with your rapier.
that's with the rapier.
Okay, you thrust your rapier up and into its body, and you goes up through its neck and out the other side.
Yeah.
And as you stab it with your other sword, you feel this really wasn't required. 'Cause this, thing,
Okay.
this thing is dead.
So I'm gonna well anyway,
Yeah.
it's my Tillian dagger.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the Tillian dagger will do him 11,
I think you can only
19,
use them for once
21.
a turn.
Is it? I don't know. Maybe we'll have a look at the
Check.
rules
You'll
next
have a
time.
look at the rules.
These pesky rules.
It's dead. I think you're
Yes.
probably right.
That
I can only
30
use-
points of damage
Yeah.
without using any
It's
I'll
dead.
check now actually.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Sneak attacks.
Right.
Wherever
It's
it's
just-
got an expendable point. You can use it each round.
Okay, so the creature falls dead,
Yeah.
and the soldiers around you start to gather panicked, frightened people. And one of them has found a well, and they're starting to like grab a bucket of water and like slosh this fluid off of people, and sort of wipe it off them with rags and things that they're finding in the street.
Burn the rags.
And they throw them on fire,
Um,
and they're getting them on the carriages.
we've come in the gate.
Hmm.
The walls were either side.
Mhm.
There were people on the walls.
They've kind of moved away to deal with other
And
things.
they've gone away.
Mhm.
I want to get, because how tall are the walls?
100 foot.
So I want to go, presumably either side there's a gatehouse
Mhm.
up
And a tower that you can
onto
go up
the,
to.
yeah, so I want to get up on top so I can see
Okay.
what's going on.
Okay, cool. Right, you head off that way.
Yep.
It's going to take you a little while to get up there.
Is there any of the black goo around, like on the floor? Because you said it was kind of trickling around.
Yeah, there's kind of like rivulets of it running around, small streams of it pooling into puddles of
Every
goo.
time I see one, I'm going to use the sacred flame on it. My cantrip. Just 2d8 radiant damage.
You're just going to walk
Yeah,
around.
one-
No,
yeah,
So
no.
it twitches as the.
Yeah, it's once per round. And it's
Okay.
3d6 extra. I thought it was 4, but it's 3.
Okay, so just a little bit of cheating going on. But yeah.
I don't know.
Just a tiny bit of cheating there.
It's
Just-
it's Simon.
remember, if you don't get caught, it's not cheating.
Okay, so
I
Lena's run
ripped
off.
him up.
Aurelian is burning puddles of goo. What's everyone else doing?
I'm looking for where the other combat sounds are coming from.
Yeah.
They're coming from further round this spire that's come out.
Is the
Down
spire
the
right
road.
there, or is it somewhere away?
The bottom of it is right in front of you, but it's like
Huge.
800 feet tall, and it's like a small mountain that's
So
come out.
So it's dark. We've got this big kind of rock spire at an angle, and there's fire going on. Are there any
Yeah.
hyenas and a lion on the top? No.
it's not at an angle like that. It's going straight up.
That's a very good
It is time.
Given how dark it is, I'm going to cast light on my shield.
I will move round to where
Okay.
Cormac is.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still.
And follow.
Yeah, I'm
where
just.
Cormac
I'll
goes.
see if there's a way.
Okay, right. So are you going that way as well?
No, I want to see if there's a way up to the actual rocky bit,
There is in front of you. You could climb between the buildings and start to climb up the.
or the building's on fire.
Not these ones here.
Ah, yes, I will start doing that then.
Okay. Right.
Going with them, basically, every time I see black goo, though, it's just going to
Okay. So you're wandering around going
be with them.
Finger
yeah
guns.
with them, and you guys go around the corner and you can
Yeah,
hear.
we're trying to save the people of the city
Yes.
from being ripped up by bad dudes.
Sure, sure. You come across actually some thugs attacking people in the street, taking the opportunity of this chaos to relieve people of their possessions. And 3 thugs
Quick thinking, aren't they? Jeez.
are holding up a group of about 20 people and getting them, right, give us your stuff, put it all on the floor here, and then you can fuck off over to the carriage
I'm
and get
literally
away.
gonna bludgeon them. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
gonna
Bombs
go,
through.
yes, go straight after them and start shield slamming people, and until they pull weapons and actually hurt someone. I'm just
They've got like clubs
Clubs,
in their hands,
yeah.
big dirty cudgel type things, and they're kind of threatening people, pushing people, and sort of, giving them a little whack on the legs kind of thing. Come on, give us your stuff.
all right, I'm just gonna kill them.
Learn it first, ask questions
I-
later.
I shall shout in the name of Aurelian, our saviour. And then I'll wade in with Cormac.
So these two
Make
angry.
a persuasion roll. Just how well is there perform? Have you got
Is it
perform?
intimidation?
Right, I'm going to use my luck. I have 3 points of luck.
Okay.
So 15.
Okay. Well, it was just like to see how well you kind of.
Yeah.
So
name
these,
of
really,
Aurelian.
these two really
And they all
angry
turn,
half-orcs.
And then see a cleric of Usain with the sunlight gleaming off of
Yeah.
the shield in front of him.
And nobody sees the little
Or
tiny.
sees the little
Blur.
halfling
Angry
Yeah,
blur.
fighter come darting across the courtyard and attack one of the thugs.
Yeah,
Go
we're
for
just
it.
going straight for it. Okay, right.
That's what you said you were doing.
Oh, good roll.
Thank you.
Good strong roll there.
23.
That's a
People need
hit.
hero.
Should I do my second hit at the same
That's
time?
at
So
least
it's
a hit.
19.
That's a hit.
That's
Okay,
at least
so
another
two.
Are
hit.
you only hitting one of them, or are you doing both at the same time?
Well, it depends how
Okay.
well the
Roll the
first
damage
the first
first.
hit
I would
goes.
feel
Damage on the
kind of a
first.
bit, if you
I would
only
spread it
hit
around.
one.
No, it'd be one and then another one. I think.
Okay.
I'd try and get
Okay,
as many
great.
people as possible.
Powering through.
Oh, that's great. 6 points
Okay.
damage and 7 points of damage.
Okay. So what weapon are you using?
My short sword.
Short sword. Okay, so you kind of tumble across the gap between yourselves,
Short
being a big
shield.
distraction, and the thing. You got your shield out, and you come in, and you kind of hack them across the back of their legs, and they yowl in pain as quite a bit of blood kind of sprays out onto the floor, and the amassed people go, yeah, come on, yeah, and they start pushing these people back, and quite quickly, the 2 guys that you've hurt are under a mound of angry
What did I do?
peasants
The other
who
one.
are beating them to death with sticks.
That was a single father of 3. That's what you just murdered.
Pull the other guy's
Single
trousers
father
down.
of 3.
Okay.
Yeah, just trying to collect some money to
Make
feed little Timmy.
Make a strength roll to see if you can.
Ooh.
6.
Okay, it's not quite. You're not.
No one will know.
He's got a sturdy belt.
Yeah.
He feels it. Whoa, he's a bit disturbed. But nothing happens.
Somewhat confused by what's going on.
You're just standing there like with the
I'm just gonna-
sunlight. Like,
I'm just, in the name of you, Science, get away from those people to the.
they're being beaten.
They're
Oh,
being-
around.
all of them. I thought
There were
you
3 thugs, and yeah, they're now all being
Oh,
pulled
okay,
onto
they're
the
all-
ground. Yeah,
One of them's got his arm ripped off and they're waving it around.
absolutely.
He was a war veteran who had been run over by the
I'm never going to glance at him.
I
Just
should
creating sympathetic backstories to the monsters.
Keep going.
I'll tell them that evacuate.
Okay, they all start to go that way.
And then we carry on looking for more fights.
Okay, you get to the.
There's
top
a
of the
dog
tower.
over there you can just kick. Fuck you, dog!
There's a
I
baby
wouldn't
with some
take a
candy over there. You could probably
As-
take it.
As you get to the top of
The
the tower,
they can do.
you look down.
Oh, God!
And see this lot.
Now, you see them fighting, but you see Saint climbing up the side of the craggy, honeycomb structure of the spire, starting to climb a small mountain
Where the thing came out of a hole. in.
where the thing came out of a hole.
Right. No, I'm using the hands to
How far
cleanse the
away is that?
corruption
Sorry?
How far away is that?
Well, it's kind of.
from it.
Like if something else jumps out of a hole, could I cover her from here?
Yes,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
you've got a longbow. It's like
Yeah.
200-yard range or
Not
something.
necessarily.
And it's only 100
You can
feet.
take
Okay.
Oh, that's true.
But you can see that she's clambering around.
Well, I
The
can keep an eye on
surface
her. And is
touching
there
the
anything
ground.
else kind of because there's these guys causing a riot? And then there's.
Yes.
or
The
preventing.
riot was already here.
It was like that when we got here.
Yeah.
But is there anything else kind of coming around?
As you look down,
that
you
way?
can see that there is a tide of people
Mhm.
who are fleeing from the area,
Mhm.
and the streets now are kind of filled with these people, just in a
Coming
mad
this
panic,
way.
riot, run, like in a disaster movie,
Mhm.
and they see the tsunami,
Here's the tide.
they're all running,
Yeah.
and they're running in their
They're about to
direction.
hit you guys, right?
Behind them, you can see a larger hole in the side of this spire, quite a way up,
Mhm.
but behind them. And from here, almost like the innards of this spire have spilled out, and there's kind of weird goo, blobs, rocks, clumps inside a thick black liquid that's pouring out into some sort of street. And you can see there twisted figures larger than any man you've seen before,
Right.
with ruptured bodies with barbs coming out of their flesh all over. And they are riding about as if in immense pain, and there's about 10 of them on the floor, almost as if they've just been grotesquely birthed out into the world.
Right.
No, you don't. What's your
I'll give you that.
constitution
Chase.
like?
My constitution's alright.
I will shout a
18.
warning down to these guys.
Oh yeah.
Basically.
Okay, yeah.
There's,
So you guys,
there's a crowd coming.
after the people run away, you hear Lena shouting from above.
Hakuna Matata.
I do not shout that, but you may well.
Does
Can I
I
get
go within
one?
150 feet of them?
No.
Not yet.
There's a crowd running. He's got a fireball.
Oh,
He's
fireball.
waving his fireball around on it.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of damage.
Lena's shouting at you. There's a crowd of people coming.
Yes, viewers.
As the people are running past, can I
That's Aurelian's new spell.
Ryan's new favourite thing.
can I see if I want to speak to someone.
Well, as you are rounding the corner,
Yeah.
you can now see what was obviously once quite a large thoroughfare, maybe some kind of market street, because there's kind of collapsed awnings and what look like carts and things dotted around. They're smashed, there's fires, and there are probably 100 people with fear in the whites of their eyes running down this street towards you, and the din of their screaming is filling your ears. You can barely hear Lena shouting from above. And it's just a wall of people coming at
I
you.
shall try and find a vantage point I can get to so I don't get crushed.
You can move up the spire slightly.
I will move up the
I am
spire
literally
slightly.
going to use my size and nimbleness because I can, because it says to just move straight through the crowd.
Okay.
Given
What's that?
that
This
I'm
is
guessing.
There's literally called nimbleness. I can move through like
Yeah, I
This
can
is very
do that.
small.
There's space. I'm just going to try and get out of the way.
Given that I'm guessing it's about to get quite loud down there and they might not be able to hear me.
Mm.
But yeah, I'll have told them that there's a crowd coming and then I'll signal that there's like, 10?
Yeah.
Like, you know, bad things.
I like
It's like bad things.
yeah. I kind of I very quickly just look up at her and go.
I'm seeing if I see this with my passive
You just start
perception
writing
17.
notes and arrows and shooting us.
The thing is, I know
Oh!
that he
they're on their
understood
way.
me. That's
Not in the arm,
Oh.
not this arm.
that's not the response I was hoping for,
Kill them
but
with
I
fire.
know he
Oh,
understood me.
Yeah.
And I'll keep an eye
Do
on
we know
Saint.
where
healing.
do we know where Saint went?
Saint,
Yes.
Hello.
you've clambered up between some
Woo!
shattered buildings.
Yeah.
Their wooden structure allowing you to almost have sort of like a climbing frame ladder type structure to get up the side of this spire. And at first it seems to be, the surface seems fairly solid, but higher up you can see this kind of honeycomb structure. Big holes, like 5 feet across,
Oh, nice.
into the darkness, and goo coming out of them. Your divine sense is kind of ringing alarm bells in your head now, and it's this whole place. This is the heart of corruption come through into the world itself.
Great.
You said you're laying on hands as you kind of go, trying to.
Well, I can only do it a few times. I was just going to
Sure.
do one on the
Okay.
actual spot.
As you touch it,
Yes.
right, the ground feels like it itself has got a very fine honeycomb structure to it itself, almost like breeze block.
Mm.
And you put your hand on it, and as you do lay on hands, a white crust forms around your fingers in the shape of your hand and slowly starts to spread out,
Yay.
and then it starts to fade away.
Oh god. How many
Very
lay on
slowly.
hands can I do? Give me more lay on hands. Quickly, more
Are
long
the
rests.
things moving apart from like writhing in agony?
No, they
and
seem to be
haven't
writhing in
got up
agony
and-
on the
right.
floor and kind of like
Uh,
chaotic thrashing,
Mhm.
like flipping over. Like you see one of them roll over and smash a cart with its arm,
Mhm.
but it wasn't doing it intentionally. It,
It
just
just
kind of
was
in
in
the
the way.
throes of
Right.
Yes, and you pass through the crowd, and you guys move to the side, and this crowd of people run past you. A lot of them have splashes of goo on them. Their feet are covered in it. They've got it on their clothes, whatever. They just all run past you in fear, and a few people look up at you, and you see pure terror in their eyes, their ashen faces, terrified eyes, tears streaming down their faces, and you see the face of what corruption and the Titan King can,
Is this
Bring
frightening?
to the
Are we
world.
frightened?
No, because your previous experience so far has steeled you against this. The people run past and the way is clear, and you can see now Cormac kind of making his way down the street anyway, and you follow after him. And as you round the corner, you see these five, we can see five of them, sorry, because some of them you've got a better vantage point. These five large creatures, they're probably each 8 feet tall. Their bodies look like they've been broken from the inside, and either their bones or black spikes, like the one that's thrusting up through the ground, are thrusting out of their body. One of them rolls around, and you see that its face is completely dislocated, its jaws, big savage teeth, almost erupting into black spikes themselves. And they're just thrashing around on the floor at the moment.
How far away are they?
They're kind of 50 feet away.
Okay,
Cormac's got
how-
to go and find them.
I mean, are they quite close together?
No, they're fairly spread over because there's a big slope coming down, and you can now see that there's a large cavern entrance up there with a huge spread of liquid down, and they're kind of rolled across the floor.
Okay. In my estimation, how close together?
They're sort of spread over like 120 feet area. So I put my hand.
Alright, so roughly even, so they're about, I'll say there were 5 of them.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Okay, so they're about 20 feet apart.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Is that okay?
20
Conveniently.
feet is a pretty good number. I like 20 feet.
Saint, you can see that the white of your lay on hands is pretty much staying intact. They've started to creep in at the edges, but it sort of stops.
Need a big lay on hands.
How many can you do?
Well, I've got a pool of 25 and I used 5 to stand, so I can do 4 more.
Do you do 4 separate ones or one big
I
one?
might do one big one whilst drawing my sword and using channel divinity and stabbing the thing after I finish laying on hands.
Okay.
That's a lot of divinity.
So you're gonna.
And I throw the pink glob at it.
Blue.
Blue.
Yeah. Let's do everything.
So
and see
you're
what
on
works.
you're on the edge of one of these holes,
Yeah.
and you
This is the
grab
sketch version.
you grab the edge of it and dump all your lay on hands, all of your healing magic, into the rock, and a white crust forms around the edge of the hole and starts to spread down the tunnel.
Yay.
You do your channel divinity and thrust your sword into the rock, and
Yeah.
the white crust goes even deeper. And you see now that almost like a light is glowing down this hole.
It's working.
And you throw the blue crystal in.
Grenade.
Smash! And there's a blue splash down there, and then white seems to swirl down below, and you hear a crack.
Oh, nice.
And the ground beneath you moves subtly. You guys don't see anything. It's just in your local sort of area. But you all hear a loud, shrill noise pierce the air, like a high scream, like someone very deep in the earth being tortured with red-hot pokers suddenly. Like a scream of some
Father Pie.
formless voice.
Nice.
And you'll all take 3 points of psychic damage.
Oh,
Oh, you pissed it off.
Yay!
There's no saving throws at all.
No, not from that one, unfortunately. And I know yours got magic saving.
I've got resistance.
Okay, you take half damage.
Is that 1 then? Or
Yeah. What did I say? 3.
We said 3.
So it's 2.
Rounding up.
Yeah, right.
Round up, motherfucker.
That's how we do it here.
And as you guys then start to steel yourselves, the creatures turn towards where Saint is,
Oh dear.
and as one snarl, a vicious snarl and black goo comes from their faces, and Roger goes, "Oh!" and we'll end it there. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that episode. That was really cool, and it looks like next time we're going to have a bit of a battle on our hands. I have to get the battle mat out for that one.
Hey.
Yeah, the old battle map.
Hey, excellent, and an extra camera. But yes, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Please check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the stuffs. You know it. Like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully we'll see you next time on 5 Cities. Bye-bye.
Bye.